Joel Colliver from the one and only Dr. Colossus. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, awesome.
Um, Dr. Colossus is such a rad, different band that I don't want to put any words in your mouth or do it some sort of injustice. So why don't you explain to anyone that's listening that doesn't know Dr. Colossus what exactly it is and how do you guys describe it to people?
Sure. So initially, the band started as a two-piece with my brother Jono and our friend Nathan Johnson, who's sadly passed away a couple of years ago. But the initial sort of idea for the band was just let's start a doom band, and what's the doomiest kind of name you could give a band? Doctor Colossus is pretty epic. And then while we're at it, let's make all the lyrics about the Simpsons. And initially, it was kind of disguised as you had to actually listen to the lyrics to figure that out. Um,
Yeah, I noticed
and
with the new album, I mean, subtlety was out the window right as soon
yeah,
as you picked up
yes,
the album.
yeah.
Um, just in
Since
case
then,
anyone hasn't heard the title of this new album that you put out in 2021, it's "I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt." so, so subtlety about
correct.
Simpsons humor is just completely out the window at this one. But
Yeah, so it got to it got enough traction that and the as the members changed over and we sort of Mark II version of the band began. Yeah, we just went all out and got the costumes and didn't do anything by halves, as the album title sort of leads.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when Dr. Colossus started, and I know that you said that you weren't part of the original iteration of it, but I mean, there had to have been some discussion about how to balance, being a gimmick and being a serious band, or how to be at least taken seriously as a band. There's plenty of music projects out there that just do jokey humor music, and there's plenty of real, legit, serious bands. And you guys are
Yep.
right in that middle ground, and you do it so perfectly because it doesn't sound like a joke. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
kind of forget about the lyrics or the album title or something, I mean, it's just great music. And I think that's what's special about Dr. Colossus anyway, is because you can play it to anyone and they go, "That's awesome." But what's even more awesome is that there is like this kind of sense of humor to it also. So when it started, was it going to be a joke, or was it going to be serious, or was this the goal all along, was to kind of like walk that line?
Um, I think initially, I'm speaking for the other boys that started the band, but initially it was
Sure.
for their own entertainment, really, and their own little, in jokes and, um, but it sort of once people caught on to what was happening and the music, they had the music there and almost the novelty of the two piece. Because originally there was just guitar and drums and vocals, and the guitar was split into a bass guitar sound as well. So they kind of had that, it was something always a little bit different about it, but it was entertaining and yeah, people were rolling with they enjoyed that it was subtly novelty, I think. But if you're a fan of The Simpsons or you're a fan of Black Sabbath or whatever part of it grabbed you, all added up to sort of what it is today. And we just ran with it after it sort of yeah got a little bit of popularity. So
Yeah. So has there ever been any discussion about, like, I mean, I guess not, because since you just put out an album in 21, but has there ever been any sort of discussion like, we got to ditch this Simpsons thing? Like, it's too limiting, like people aren't taking it
um,
serious, or whatever. You ever like think about changing course, or
not at
taking
this
it even
point.
further, or going even more
Yeah.
balls in with it?
Well,
Or
if anything, the discussions of what's the next step in the same direction.
uh,
But yeah, we've had comments like, if only that band was, if they got rid of the costumes and took it seriously, they could be really, you know, Where if we did, we'd probably just blend into the crowd again, and you fight the competition is a very big field once you go into that.
Right. The thing about you guys though is that I never hear anyone go like, "Oh, is that Simpsons band?" Like they never refer to you as like just a Simpsons band. Like it's way more than that. It is like a legit doom band. It is very good. People talk about how talented you guys are as musicians and songwriters and stuff. Like I don't ever hear anyone say like, "Oh, that fucking Simpsons thing again." Like that's what I mean by you guys walk that line so well, is that people really do take it seriously. So
luckily for us, we can. We're all serious enough about songwriting and musicianship that we can back it up, and that can sort of we're not relying on that novelty factor.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't use it. It doesn't seem like it uses it like as a crutch. It doesn't use it as a crutch to make the music what it is. The other thing that I thought was interesting was that there's no like samples of Simpsons dialogue, and that might be like maybe a legal thing. Maybe you can't afford to use Simpson samples. I don't know how that works, but I thought it was really interesting that like a song like "Stupid Sexy Flanders," I'm like, there's got to be a sample of him saying it in this song, and there's not. And it's like it's all lyrics. It doesn't use that like dialogue, a clip or anything, no samples as like a crutch to make the song what it is. Like it's all written in a way that you get the reference, but it's not just like sampling Simpsons episodes.
Yeah, and in the live show we'll do little song intros, little quotes and things like that. But if you're releasing stuff on a CD or on public streaming or that's where you could probably get into trouble too. So far we hadn't had any issues. Which, like, what could the issue be? But the only problem we had with the newest album cover was it wasn't even a legal problem. That it was one of the streaming distributors wanted to black out the Simpsons faces because they thought they might have a problem, but that was it wasn't like DistroKid, but it was one of those online
that's interesting
companies. So that explains on Spotify why the faces are blacked out, if you've noticed.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. I also know that the album before this is called The Dank, right?
Yeah.
So I know the artist that did that album cover. I followed him for a lot of years. I just liked his illustrations and art, and he does some really cool like Simpsons stuff.
Tim Doyle?
Yeah, Timothy Doyle.
Yeah.
So how does that work though with like an artist? Like does he get in trouble for copying Simpsons material, and then on top of that you bought it or the rights to it or whatever for your album cover? I mean, it's got to get kind of messy at that point.
I think we bought the rights to the again, I wasn't in the band at that time, but they bought the rights to the artwork spoke to Tim, I guess. And I guess like even if you got sued, like they could only really sue you for what little money a small sort of national level band might be making from it. So worst case we just change the artwork.
He does some cool ones like that with the Simpsons stuff. I saw the Moe's one, and then he's done like King of the Hill and stuff too that are like kind of that dark imagery but related to like King of the Hill, Simpsons, whatever. So it's pretty cool.
I like that. I like his style. It's and he does it well too. Like he doesn't sort of hold back, which is good.
Yeah, it's cool. Have you heard from like anyone in the Simpsons camp since you started doing this? Have you heard from maybe not Matt Groening specifically, but like anyone saying this is cool, keep doing it, let's collab on something, or cease and desist, don't do this anymore?
No news, which is good news, I think. But we became friends with the Oakley Doyle band, and we toured with them in Australia.
That's the Ned Flanders like metal band, right?
Yeah, and they were lucky enough to get an email and say, we want to put your film clip in the credits of an episode. but we haven't been so lucky yet. So, but we took that as a, they haven't got a problem with any of this sort of thing. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that they used any from Oakley Dokley. I remember hearing about them and seeing like a music video from them where they're all dressed up. But Simpsons reached out to them, huh?
Yeah. So I'm not sure the exact episode, but the final credits is there. I think it's the White Wine Spritzer film clip with the Simpsons credits rolling over the top. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I think they were pretty happy. Yeah.
I was going to ask before we had talked via email if you ever thought of doing like some combined tour with them, because they came to mind early on, but it sounds like you already kind of tried that. How'd that go?
Yeah. So luckily, this was just before the pandemic, really. Early 2020, I think. They came out to Australia and we did an East Coast and New Zealand. Must have been about 7 shows with them. And yeah, awesome. They're the loveliest people, and yeah, we in a perfect world we would have hopefully come over to the States or done some more with them, but the world shut down ever since.
And they're a US band, did you say that?
Yeah, I think they're based in Arizona. So yeah.
But they're like death metal or something, right?
Kinda, yeah. Like they have a mix of like metalcore maybe with but now like some techno elements live as well. They have like a synth pad player and but yeah, they have a big sound live.
Cool.
And they put on a pretty good show, so it was fun.
How'd the fans react to the kind of the difference in music, but being like a Simpsons themed thing? Was it a lot of metal fans that didn't know what they were getting into, or were they like hardcore Simpson nerds and they were like, holy shit?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both. Like I've definitely noticed compared like you go to other metal gigs in our sort of the doom stoner scene where you get your die-hard sort of music lovers, but there's definitely that sort of, I wouldn't say Comic-Con, but people coming dressed up and a different, maybe more like collector sort of, people that want the merch, and definitely a different group that's sort of, even now with our own shows, so headline shows that I think we've got a broader scope than you might have otherwise, which is good.
Yeah. How do you go about writing some of these songs? Because we talked about it a little bit, but it is sometimes kind of subtle. Sometimes, kind of like the main idea behind the song, it's not just like so blatant. Like it doesn't take like a line and just like, explore that one episode. Sometimes it kind of seems like you take different parts of different things and combine them into one song. Like, how do you decide which episodes to write about or which joke? Then how do you decide to like elaborate on that throughout the song? Because there is a subtlety to it.
Yeah. So generally, we're very open to everyone's ideas, and everyone has come in with riffs, even the drummer, guitar riffs, and we'll explore the music generally, or most of the, get a rough sort of roadmap of the music, and loosely, everyone has the song. If they've come in with the music part, that's kind of their baby a little bit, but everyone's really a good team about trying everyone else's ideas and exploring every avenue. So do the music, demo that up maybe even, and then Jono and Mike usually have some, a general idea of a song lyrically that they can then transfer onto those musical ideas, or sometimes I've just said, "Here's a riff," like for example, "Lard Lad." Um, I had the idea that it gave me maybe a vibe of um, like an Iron Man sort of character. So I just said to Jono, I just want this to be about Lard Lad. Here's the music. So he just took it from there. So yeah, people have always got little ideas brewing ready to go and ready to find a place for. So it works pretty well.
Do you guys watch a lot of Simpsons while you're practicing, jamming to get ideas and incorporate it, or is it you just kind of know the material good enough now? I know you said that you weren't quite as big of a
Yeah,
Simpsons guy as the other members, but I mean, do you have to go home and do homework in
yeah.
order
Like
to
I
get
just,
these albums out?
I'll have personally, I'll use the stuff that's stuck with me since I was a kid watching it. Um, and I'm sure, like from my future songs, some more of um, the Halloweeny sort of type episodes really stick with me, and they kind of make it easier to write heavy metal too. Um, uh, where was I going with that one? What was the question originally there?
Just do you watch a lot of Simpsons? Do you have to
Oh
like kind
yeah.
of do your research in order to kind of make this stuff
Um,
happen, or
Yep. So yeah, or yeah, if you're stuck for an idea, definitely go back and maybe watch a few episodes, or if you've got an idea, go back and you know fine tune all the lines and get deep on the storyline. But the other guys, I think they would probably still be watching a few episodes every week just for their own entertainment purposes.
yeah? I mean, it's like I don't know, the longest running TV show in history. It's not like you'll have any shortage of
Yeah,
ideas anytime
yeah,
soon. It's like you got,
yeah,
I don't know what they're on now, like 500 episodes or something. But
yeah. Which is nice to know that you've actually got an unlimited bank of ideas to choose from. So yeah, it's
yeah, pretty much.
which is not like in some bands you rely on one person to come up with original lyrics and original ideas, and we sort of don't really have that problem. We don't have an
Yeah.
excuse if we
And how many ways can you say I love you or I'm in pain or
that's right,
whatever in a song that hasn't
breakups.
been said already, and you're doing this completely original idea,
Yeah,
which is almost ironic because it's not even your original idea. It's The
yeah,
Simpsons. But in a way, it's like it's super original because no one else is writing stuff like you guys are. So it's interesting.
and we can sort of in some ways in the way that we subtly blend the lyrical ideas in. As you've probably heard, there's most songs give a nod to a band or another style too, so we can sort of steal ideas from all the music that we love as well, in a subtle
Yeah.
or not so subtle way.
Yeah. And you guys have been in other bands before, I think you said.
Yeah, so we originally, as younger teenagers, obviously my brother and I grew up in the same house, and then we started a band with Nathan, the original drummer. But we also went to school with Josh, the current drummer. So we all knew each other and played together for years. And then once everyone finished high school, some of them moved closer to Melbourne, the big city centre. Josh and I were still living where I live now, and we just played covers and had fun for a couple more years before he moved away. And yeah, we've all been very active since teenagers. And then we met Mike sort of just in the local Melbourne scene, and he was actually a big Simpsons fan and just heard the band at a gig, and they didn't have a bass player, and he was a bass player, and he was just nominated. He's, I'm your bass player now, whether you like it or not. But it is the perfect fit. Like you couldn't do it without him, and he is the brains trust. We did a gig and did a sort of competition with one of the other bands that a Simpsons trivia competition, and Mike was unbeatable, which is he's solid.
Do people like assume that you guys are huge Simpson nerds and like try to like challenge you on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sometimes you'll get people. You'll be talking to someone and they slipping in like little quotes and one-liners, and sometimes I'll get them, but sometimes, especially like I'm hopeless remembering sort of even lyrics. But yeah, I'm pretty slow. But some people, they love to.
I have friends that it doesn't even have to be The Simpsons necessarily, but it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or other shows, and they'll just be like spouting out lines or movies, like Will Ferrell movies, and they just know every word. And I'm like, I've seen that movie 100 times, but I couldn't tell you a single line from it. I just don't remember it. I don't know. I don't have that skill of just like reciting these lines.
Doesn't work like that either. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, to kind of go back to like that credibility thing, I saw that you guys won an award in Australia, like the best heavy act or something in Australia.
Yeah, so it was in the state of Victoria. They have a sort of end of year music awards night, and I think it was out of, it might have been 10 bands that got shortlisted. And I think normally it's voted on, if you'd an album that year, you'd have best metal album. But they may have tweaked it a bit because it was a pretty quiet year for releases. But yeah, we got the best metal act for the state of Victoria. So basically, which is
does that like
Melbourne?
Does that like blow your guys' minds? I mean, that you're doing this like Simpsons thing and then you're getting nominated for like best heavy act in Australia. I mean, that's crazy. It seems.
Yeah, and we're for middle-aged white guys, the political boundaries, or we're just doing our thing. So. And normally, with an album, when picking an album title, we're like, people would have to read this out if we, in these situations, or when it got into album charts, and it's just this big long, it doesn't even fit on the page, sort of album title. But
did anyone have like when they're presenting the award, did they have to say the album title out loud?
I don't think they did. No.
That's a bummer.
And I'm trying to think if it has. It definitely happens like on the radio, like sort of independent radio stations and things like that. It's always funny to hear.
I bet. Yeah, I want someone like really that takes themselves really seriously, and they're like presenting the award, and they're like, "Oh shit, I gotta say this."
But yeah, most people embrace it though. They're just like, "Yep, I love saying this, and here it is." Like, I get to say something stupid, and it hasn't really, it's not their idea. It makes us look silly, if anything, but people like it. So.
Yeah, I remember that line in the Simpsons when it happened too, and I laughed then, and I still laugh now just playing the record.
Once you start you read the first few words, and then it's just Mo's voice in your internal monologue.
And it was just such a good joke because it was like, all those phone calls from Bart were like subtle. They're like, these jokes where he doesn't get it. He's saying it out loud and it's subtle, but other people kind of hear it differently and they get it. And this one just like threw the whole thing out the window, and it was just like this and this and this and this and this. And it's just like, it's so blatantly obvious and stupid that it's probably one of my favorite like Simpsons like moments. It's just so funny.
Yeah. And that was an interesting, like, that idea came up at a band practice, and there wasn't any argument. It was just like, yeah, all right, like, it just fits on a record sleeve. Let's do it.
Do you guys take it seriously? I mean, do you feel like you take it seriously? I know that your guys are really talented musicians. I mean, do you look at it from that angle first and foremost? or I mean, do you look at it as like this will be hilarious kind of thing?
Yeah, no, we take it seriously, and we're all serious enough about in our own time we can rehearse, and we don't actually like do weekly rehearsals or anything. We sort of all live fairly separated, between 2, 3, 4 hours away from each other. So sometimes we might only have a short practice before a gig, or have to get together for a whole weekend and do an album, work out what we're doing for an album, or record or something like that. So yeah, we can all trust each other that we're putting in the time, and when we do get the time together, we make the most of it. And also, yeah, when Nathan passed away, that was like that we use that now as kind of, it's all sort of dedicated to him, and that it's not inspiration, but a reminder just to, make the most of your time with your mates and people that you love, and get shit done.
Nice. So for this new album, did you have just the one music video? I think you did So Long Stinktown.
Yeah, so we did.
I watched the music video today. You guys have your full garb on and everything, so it was a cool video. So I think you said that there were some funny stories behind that video.
There was so we the picture of, if you go online, if you check out the Dr. Colossus Facebook page, you'll find a big mural. I think it was about 2 or 3 stories tall, got painted of Jono, the singer.
I was going to ask about that too. So we might as well touch on that. Yeah, so let's touch on that now. So how did that happen anyway?
So it all works together. So there was an arts project in the city of Melbourne for some street art. It's kind of famous for its street art in certain alleyways and things. And one of the artists was a fan of the band, and he's got in touch with Jono and said, "Can you come in and do a photo shoot in your costume?" And I've got the opportunity to paint it on a building. And we were sort of like, yeah, okay.
I remember seeing that and being like, "Is this band that big to have a mural?" Because you don't even really see like a Metallica mural. You know what I mean?
That's
like
right,
it just doesn't really happen. They just don't do metal bands on giant murals.
Yeah, so we just got lucky that the artist was a fan of the band.
That's awesome.
So we rolled with it, and originally we wanted to try and film the film clip in front of that mural, work it in somehow. But in the end, the location was a fairly tight alleyway, so you couldn't actually get sort of the right camera angle, and just logistically couldn't make it work. So we'd sort of had a film clip organised. So we decided we would try and make that maybe look like the headquarters, or the sort of the Stonecutters secret warehouse or something. So we found a location where we could film in a room that looked like that. And there was it's actually a music venue, and it was the sort of DJ bar upstairs, sort of lounge bar, and downstairs was a large band room. But it was perfect. It had like red velvet curtains, and the style was perfect. And the DJ booth was almost like an altar on the front of the stage. So we dressed the room up, and it actually had a glass where it was a glass floor, like a light up dance floor. And they were like, "Oh, you got to be really careful with the drum kit on the floor." Like, we had another band film a film clip in here, and they dropped something and broke one of the glass tiles, and you just got to be really careful. So sure enough, like after we played the song about 10 times, one of the drums fell over onto the glass floor. Didn't break, luckily. And then not long after that, one of the camera crew dropped like one of the tracks for the little dolly runner. That fell on the glass floor, and it still didn't break. So we were lucky; we got away with that.
Yeah.
And then as the storyline progresses, so it's basically, if you haven't seen it, there's a character who sort of ends up at the stonecutters headquarters, and he gets sort of loosely initiated, and by initiation we sort of play the music at him very loud, and he's at the end of the film clip chained up in a circle with the band around him, and the camera crew was sort of like, oh, get pretty, get up in his face and sort of give it to him. And Jono accidentally hit his eyebrow with the bridge of his guitar and cut him open, and he was bleeding. So the blood in the film clip is actually real blood from a sort of a big long single take, agony scene where he's blindfolded and just getting pummeled with the song. But yeah, Callum, the actor, he was perfect and he nailed it. So and he totally ran with it. Once he knew he was bleeding, he didn't stop.
Good. make it worth it at least. You got to keep filming.
He actually I'll plug him. He does his own YouTube podcast as a DJ, but before that, travel around and film like sort of pranks. So he would go and pretend to be a like a bouncer at the Berlin Wall, set up a rope, or he was in went to Burning Man and pretended to be an undercover cop and does stuff like that. So yeah, he's been to film school, and yeah, he was perfect for that role. So yeah,
awesome.
It worked out well. I think it's called the American Tourist, as in like terrorist, but tourist. So go and check it out.
Nice.
It's pretty funny.
Cool. Now, if you were, this ties into a new segment that I'm going to do tonight called Yay or Nay. If you were going to start another band based on any sort of TV show or movie or anything, not The Simpsons, what would it be?
If it didn't already exist, I would say Star Wars. But there's Galactic Empire, who do all the Star Wars songs. But otherwise, maybe I'm not sure. All
right. Well, you can think about it. I have a couple ideas here. I'm going to show you.
Back to the Future or something, maybe.
Back to the Future could be cool. Yeah.
Not much material, but
I'm going to show you 10 album covers based on TV shows, and you just give it a yay or a nay. If it's good or not. So the first one, Heisenberg. It's called Say My Name. I also hope that all these translate to like the shows that you watch in Australia, but I'm assuming that most of them are big enough to make it there. So
that would be like a metalcore with maybe some electronic vibes, possibly too. Yeah, that could work.
They got the matching outfits and everything.
Yeah.
I think
like
I can work
Aphex
too.
Twin sort of metal.
So we're gonna give that one a yay.
Yeah, we'll give that a yay. Yeah.
All right. This one's Tribbiani. How you doing?
On Relapse. So am I saying yay or nay to the?
Sure. Yeah.
To.
I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I suppose.
Would I listen to it? I would say.
Sure.
No. Nay.
No. Yeah, this one might suck. This one's called Hill King. Boy Ain't Right.
Yeah, that's a yay.
For sure. I love King of the Hill, man. I think that
Yeah.
someone should definitely make a King of the Hill
Yeah,
metal
that
band.
could work.
This photo is actually with Willie Nelson, so I don't know
Yeah,
what that would sound like exactly, but Honeymooner, one of these days.
I'll only say nay because I don't get the reference.
Okay. This is a show from like the 50s. It's called The
Okay.
Honeymooners. And the main character, not that I grew up in the 50s, obviously. I think it's from the 50s. But the main character would like threaten to hit his wife if she did something he didn't like.
Okay,
And he'd say,
yeah,
these
got it.
days. So.
Oh, maybe that's a yay then. That's good.
This one's called Jello Pudding Pop, Slip a Mickey.
Yeah, that is cancelled.
It's based on the Cosby Show, of course. Nothing to do with his personal life. This one's called Kenny Killer. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a yay. Love
For
this.
sure.
Well, maybe we could do a South Park band.
Yeah,
that would be quite easy.
Yeah, that's another one that you'll probably never run out of material. They seem to kick those things out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Wax Seinfeld, master of your domain.
Yeah, that's a yay.
And also another one that is like no shortage of one-liners. Like the lyrics would be like easy to write with this one because Seinfeld's on Netflix now. I've been watching some of the old episodes and like every single episode is an absolute hit, you know? Like they're just so good at like making the memorable lines. So
yeah, memorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone would know it.
Orange is the new black metal.
Yeah. It could be interesting. It could be like I hear that as a wannabe black metal band, but they don't quite get it. So it could flop. It could be a nay.
Yeah. Prison Mike never got caught neither.
What's it say in the eye? Oh, it's just a scratchy eye.
Oh yeah.
There's no hidden word in there.
No, there's not.
Yeah, that's a yay.
Office is a great show. It could be something. All right, last one.
Have you watched the British Office?
Yeah, I've tried a couple times. It wasn't really for me. Although I hear most people say it's great. I don't know. I just wasn't into it.
It's one of those like depending on which country you're from, one or the other translates better.
This one's called The Streets. P is for pain.
Yeah, that's a yay. I like it.
Like a sort of like kids metal. I don't know.
Yeah, bit dark. Like.
All right, that was the last one.
Very good. Yeah.
So any new ideas for the next project out of that?
Not from that, but we do have some ideas. I guess I'll give you the title, and the Die Hard. Well, this is a working idea. We haven't recorded anything yet, but it's not a traditional album. It's like it's an in between album, but it's could be called "Sweatin' to the Oldies" Volume 3. There's a quote where someone's talking about listening to the first Sweatin' to the Oldies albums in The Simpsons, and for some reason they don't talk about Sweatin' to the Oldies Volume 3. So we're gonna maybe make Sweatin' to the Oldies Volume 3.
So what makes this not the next album? Like, is it gonna sound different, or is it gonna be shorter, or?
Which could be a covers album, maybe.
Okay.
Put it that way. But that's a
covers album with like a Simpsons twist, or just a straight like covers album of like.
Yeah, we're not sure yet, but definitely musical, or some sort of there might be little bits that working together. But yeah, that's the next most likely thing. But we're sort of still in a we're not locked down, but our COVID cases at the moment are just like through the roof. So it might be a little while before we can get back together and make that happen. But
yeah, I was under the assumption, I guess, from just being in the US, I was under the assumption that Australia was just like completely locked down and everyone's just like, being trapped in their houses and stuff. And then there was this guy from Australia on Rogan today that I listened to, and he was like, no, we just locked down early and now we're slowly like letting things open again, so we're getting more cases. Like I was like, oh man, that's totally not what I was picturing.
Yeah,
it sounded pretty innocent. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it depends on what train you're on, but yeah, the basic principle was, even after in some cases in the cities, if there was a handful of untraceable cases that came up, they would just say, lockdown for a week or two maybe. But sometimes those lockdowns got longer and longer as the cases. This was pre-vaccine or as the vaccine rollout came. So yeah, they were trying to really look after the health system.
Yeah, I guess the basic idea was to like lock down real strict at first, so you can kind of like get everything in place, make sure the hospitals are clear and have more beds, have more workers, have a vaccine, have a protocol, have early medicine, early treatment, and then we'll open it back up. We'll let the COVID in basically, and then we'll know how to treat it.
So that's where we're at now. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like compared to our like lockdown numbers of cases, like it's out of it. You would say it might be out of control now, but
it probably sounds alarming, but it's basically part of the plan,
Yeah, and like originally, like we didn't know. You wouldn't really know anyone that had COVID. Like, you might know someone's 6 degrees of separation, but now every second person's kind of getting it. But in most cases, a mild flu sort of. So yeah.
Do you expect to be able to play some shows anytime soon, or
as a result of that? Yeah. So the live music scene again has sort of had to shut down, and things that were booked in for this time that were what we thought would be clear to go, having to shut down. In some cases purely because they can't get like an ambulance on standby for the gig or if it's a bigger festival or something. Obviously the risk of transmission at the festival, but yeah, just sort of shortages of resources. But yeah, we've got a gig at the end of the month which is sold out, so hopefully it'll be touch and go whether we can do that. But
cool.
That was an album launch show from early 2021, I suppose it would have been. They all got pushed back, so we haven't officially launched the album at a gig yet. So
yeah, which seems crazy because didn't it come out like kind of early in the year?
Yeah, it was like May or something.
Yeah.
So, 2022 shows, 2021 shows.
Mm-hmm.
These last couple of years are a blur, but yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we've got a lot of gigging to do before we sort of even think about new music, is where that story comes to. But yeah, we should have an east coast of Australia, and hopefully even get over to the west coast and get all that done first, and then think about more content.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely an album that was on my best of list at the end of the year.
Yeah,
and
thank you
again, because it sounds, whether it's Simpsons related or not, it's fucking great. It's a great album. And just the fact that it's, Simpsons related just adds to the fun of it. And I think it's fucking great. And I think you guys are an awesome band. So appreciate you being on and hanging out for a little bit and telling us a little bit about it. So
thanks for the invite. Yeah, it's yeah, we were very happy with how it all turned out, and I'm glad it's sort of stretching into the far corners of the world, and it's not
Yeah,
just Australians that are hearing about it. So yeah, it's appreciated for not just you and also everyone else that's bought the album or come to the shows and bought T-shirts, and yeah, makes it just want to do it again.
for sure. Well, I hope you do, and I hope you make it to the States sometime. Hopefully, this
Yeah,
year or something. We'll
hopefully.
see how everything goes, but it'd be awesome. And um, I don't know, anything else you want to plug? You want to tell people where to go to get the album or anything?
Yeah, so I don't think. I think we're still working on an actual US distribution of the album because shipping from Australia was sort of more than the record. So keep an eye out for a US version that it will be shipped from the US. But otherwise, yeah, Dr. Colossus, theband.com or Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, or stream it. And yeah, hopefully we'll see everyone at a gig sometime soon.
Right on. All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.